Hello, Year 7. Welcome to our next lesson on what is an economy, looking at industry and what makes an economy in the UK. So first thing I'd like you to do, you can press pause now and quickly do the starter quiz, which is attached to the Google Classroom. I think this week's it's out of 5, this lesson. So just make a note of your score out of 5. Okay, so back to this lesson now. The title for today, if you want to write this down on your paper or Word document, is Why Did Nissan Locate in the UK? So this links very much with what we did last lesson when you were looking at reasons why industry locates, manufacturing industries, and you were looking at where you would put a factory, looking at things like workforce and customers, things like that. So have a look at the picture that you can see of the Nissan car factory. And I want you to make a list of the reasons why they may have put this car factory where they put it. So what can you see in that picture that explains their location? So remember, they want to choose somewhere that makes the most profit. So it might be that you have to think back to last lesson and the list of things that were important, and then think, all right, okay, which ones can I see in this picture? And then have a look, and which do you think is the most important reason they located in this area from what you can see? In the top corner there, you can see Miss Pedder, one of our brilliant geography teachers who's on maternity leave at the moment, and she's got a electric car, and it's a Nissan. So that was probably built in the Nissan factory up in Sunderland. So just take about 2 minutes or so trying to list the reasons why the factory was built where it was. Right, so let's start thinking about why Nissan located in the UK. We know already that the economic sectors in the UK have changed, and whereas the primary sector, farming, mining, fishing, was really important, 200 years ago, now they only make up 1% of our industry. The secondary industry really peaked when Queen Victoria was around. So we were the biggest manufacturing country in the world at that time. But since then, other countries like China, Southeast Asian countries like Vietnam are making more of our products, and we've moved more towards the tertiary and the quaternary sector. But we do still have manufacturing in the UK. So the reasons why manufacturing disappeared was because you just need less people. Robots can do lots of work that people used to do. You get production lines in car factories where robots will put together lots of the bits of the car, and then humans will just check it's working. Also, as I mentioned, countries like China could produce the goods lots cheaper than we could. They had cheaper pay for their workers, and that meant that we had less built here in the UK and more built in other countries. And we will learn more about that later. Now, many industries that were really important to the UK, so industries like the iron and steel industry, shipbuilding, they pretty much disappeared. And that led to some problems because you had lots of skilled workers who are now unemployed. They had nothing, no work to do. So what the government did is they tried to attract new foreign industries to the areas where there were lots of unemployed people. So in Sunderland, they used to be really, really good at building ships. So they were really good at building things, making things, they had lots of skills. And they were a perfect place to try and encourage the car industry from Nissan, from Japan, to come and replace some of those jobs that had been lost. The same thing happened in lots of places around the country. Swindon, for example, was really good at building trains, and then Honda decided to put their car factory there because there were so many skilled workers. Okay, just a few quick questions then, just to check your understanding. It might be that you need to go back to the last slide or two to help with these, or go back in the video. But I want you to answer these questions. Just do it in full sentences, but they don't need to be particularly long. So first of all, can you summarise why were there high levels of unemployment in Sunderland from the up to the 1980s? Can you give one thing the government did to try and create new jobs? And thirdly, who are Nissan? So if you can, do these without looking back. But if you're stuck, maybe go back in the video to the last slide and see if that helps. Okay, this probably take about 3 or 4 minutes. So you can pause the video, answer those questions, and then we'll be ready to move on. Okay, so next thing, I want us to think about what we learnt about location factors in last lesson, but this time we're going to apply it more specifically to Nissan. So just take a couple of minutes reading through this article, and then I want you to list the location factors that attracted Nissan to Sunderland. So what was it about Sunderland that made Nissan want to go there? Okay, so you only need to write them as a list. You could do them as bullet points, and it will probably only take you a couple of minutes after you've read the article. So pause the video and then complete that task. Right, so now in this last part of the lesson, we're going to try and think about what we've learned already, and we're going to carry out some map skills work. So it's going to be some local maps and then a world map we're going to use. So the first one is, I want you to have a look at the Ordnance Survey map that I've attached to the classroom and think back to how you do 6-figure grid references. So I want you to try and find the car factory on the map and then give the 6-figure grid reference for the car works, for the big buildings factory where the cars are built. Do the same for where the Tynemouth docks are. So they're obviously going to be near where the river meets the sea. And see if you can also find the car test track. Now in a minute, I'm going to go through the first one with you so that it's a reminder of how you do 6-figure grid references. The second thing I'd like you to do is see if you can compare the map with the picture above. So try and line them up so that you can see which way the map's facing compared to the picture, and see if you can answer those 2 questions about that, matching up the map and the picture, which is a really important skill and something we do, can do in geography quite a bit. Right, so I said I would help remind you how to do 6-figure grid references, right? So what you do is you remember the saying, along the corridor, up the stairs. So here we can see the motorworks, okay? We can see that's marked on the map. So if I was going to give a 6-figure grid reference, I would first of all go along the top, and I can see that it's in grid square 3, 4, and it's we could pick anything really, but it's about, say, 1/10 or 3/10 of the way across. So that would be written down as 3, 4, 3. And then we're looking across here and we're going up the stairs, and we can see that it's in grid square 5, 8, and it's right in the middle. So it's in 5, 8, 5. So the 6-figure grid reference for the motorworks here would be 3, 4, 3, 5, 8, 5. Okay, so now try and have a go doing the Tynemouth docks here, and also the track, which is going to be around the motorworks somewhere. See if you can spot the test track. Okay, so here are the questions again. The map that you'll need is attached, and see if you can have a go. Obviously, if you get really stuck, that's fine, but at least try and have a go at these. Okay, and then the last thing I'd like you to do is start thinking about how connected Sunderland now is with the world. How connected does Nissan make Sunderland become with the rest of the world? So here we've got a picture of a car. Not sure what Nissan car this is, but it's one that they've made in the past. And on there you've got some details about where the different parts of that car come from. So although it's made in the UK, lots of the bits of the car come from all over the world. So I've provided a world map that's attached to the Google Classroom, but you could also find one yourself. So just search for a world map on the internet. And I'd like you to try and mark on where all of those bits of the car are on the world map. Also mark on where Sunderland is. and then draw arrows to link those places with Sunderland. That's the first part. So we can see you've got France, which is where the seats come from. You've got Japan, which is where the headquarters are. Nissan is a Japanese company. You've got the compressor in the engine from Japan. So all these different parts of the car come from all around the world. I want you to find those places and draw arrows towards Sunderland. And then lastly, just explain how the car plant is connected to these different places. So give a bit of an overview of how Nissan in Sunderland is connected to other places in the world. Now we'll be looking at globalization, like it's a new term. We'll be looking at that slightly later in this topic. And globalization is really important. It basically explains, why the world is shrinking and how it's easier to get around the world. Things like jet aircrafts have helped do that, but we'll be looking at that in a bit more detail. Okay, guys, I hope you're okay with today's lesson. If you're not sure about anything, obviously go back over it. You can play the video again and watch bits over again. And if you are really stuck, then you can always email or contact me through the Google Classroom, and I will try and get back to you and help you out. Okay, right, good luck with today's work, and I will see you all soon.